If you're here in this program, you've probably already started to collect a short list of reasons for why product-led growth, or PLG, might make sense for your B2B org. Since the value that PLG can bring to B2C companies is more commonly known, we've chosen to focus on how it can drive results in a B2B context, since the delta between the value that PLG can provide and the ability to succeed at implementing it remains relatively large. This program will address and close those gaps. Let's start with a common understanding of what Reforge means by PLG. The term is used in a lot of different ways by a lot of different people. When we talk about PLG, we mean that the product has the ability to acquire, activate, engage, or monetize without human intervention. Slack provides a great example. While word of mouth is no doubt important to their acquisition motion, the product itself also facilitates easy acquisition, since individuals are able to add team members on the chat platform without working with sales or marketing. Activation of new users is often self-serve, and monetization is smooth, as teams can upgrade from free to paid accounts without going through a sales org. Finally, in-product integrations position Slack at the center of most users' work life, since it provides a simple, centralized location for notifications coming in from a wide range of other platforms. By solving this job to be done through product, Slack is able to engage and retain many of its customers. Your existing perspectives about PLG might have formed from the outside in, via the unavoidable stories on Substack or LinkedIn about what PLG did for X, Y, or Z unicorn business. Or perhaps you've got internal evangelists, and you're starting to hear murmurings from senior leadership at your company that maybe PLG makes sense, leading you to try to contextualize these comments. Either way, the vast majority of existing content centers on why PLG, but not how PLG. And even those who do lean into the how territory often center on only one case study or promote a one-size-fits-all approach. This program breaks that mold. In this introductory lesson, we'll briefly cover why PLG to level set not just on the direct benefits, but also the indirect benefits that PLG can provide to an organization. Once we've got this grounding in place, we'll turn our attention and start to look at when PLG makes sense and, most importantly, how to succeed at doing it. We'll use frameworks that move away from a single story or anecdote of what works for PLG, and instead work toward a deep understanding that will empower you to make decisions given your specific product context. We'll deep dive into when and how to make product-led monetization, activation, and acquisition work for individuals, teams, and enterprises. As always, this content stems from work with trusted experts, Elena Verna and Kelly Watkins. Together, Elena and Kelly have more than 25 years of experience in leading, implementing, and advising PLG strategies across B2B companies, including Slack, Miro, GitHub, SurveyMonkey, and Amplitude. Let's start by covering our point of view on why PLG can be the right choice in a B2B context. We'll look at both the direct, observable benefits and the less publicized indirect benefits that PLG can provide. When it comes to direct benefits, the first one we want to consider is that product-led strategies scale more effectively than people-based strategies. This is because product-based solutions will allow the business to scale without the need to scale human operations at a linear rate. In the past, companies with traditional sales and marketing-led motions would need to increase the size of their workforce in order to attract new customers. Notably, most companies find success in layering PLG motions across acquisition, activation, monetization, and engagement to augment existing sales or marketing-led growth motions. Instead of marketing doing all the work to acquire new users, some companies build in referral links. And instead of sales doing all the work to qualify and monetize, firms with a PLG strategy in place will frequently choose to allow product access before monetization and create self-serve ways to monetize. These companies understand the strength of a growth model that includes many different motions. PLG isn't a nuclear option that firms should pivot to. Rather, it's a way to use product-led tactics, where appropriate, to achieve additional scale. Amplitude recently stood up a self-serve monetization pathway to allow companies to monetize outside of their sales organization. This allowed lower average contract value, or ACV, customers to begin using the product. Notably, Amplitude didn't simply replace their sales-led monetization motion. Instead, they offered a product to SMBs, and developed a pipeline to route larger ACV accounts to sales to close the deal. The second direct benefit is that PLG results in more efficient spend. This doesn't mean PLG is always a cheaper approach, but when done correctly, you'll see higher ROI. That said, Elena and Kelly both stress the importance of understanding investment trade-offs. It's not always that PLG is cheaper, says Elena. It's more about where you choose to shift your costs, like toward investments in your product versus paid marketing channels. Kelly adds that paid marketing has become a war of attrition to try to outspend other people. What PLG does is it opens up new channels versus bidding against others on the same keywords. Not only do product investments imply real costs, but PLG products also often offer some sort of free option, which will incur costs like storage and support. For instance, Miro and Slack both entered the market without much spending on traditional marketing channels. Instead, both invested in free versions of their products and brand marketing efforts in lieu of channel marketing ones. Each company built individual champions that escalated through paid, team, and finally, enterprise usage. In some cases, laddered usage escalated naturally and without sales intervention, while in others, the companies picked up on patterns of usage and used these as opportunities to intervene and upsell to the right customers or teams at the right time. The last direct benefit to keep in mind is that PLG can allow companies to make either an offensive or defensive move, and can be done across many phases of a company's life cycle. While this benefit is less frequently the focus of conversation, it becomes incredibly important in markets where purchase decisions are more heavily scrutinized and software competition is greater than ever before. On the one hand, PLG can constitute a defensive play to serve segments of the market that were previously unsustainable in a strictly sales-led model. This was the case with Salesforce, for example, when they created a free trial product. Part of the purpose of their trial product and self-service pricing options was to crowd out other solutions that were beginning to come to market. On the other hand, PLG can be an offensive play. Examples here would include companies like Figma or Slack, which were entering a field where the incumbent products were hard to access and often required licenses before purchase. In addition, PLG companies benefit from putting value realization before monetization, which builds early users into product advocates. Kelly says, I have found that in the long term, building these advocates leads to greater lifetime value from customers. In many cases, this is because companies can break the cycle of competing on price. This is because when compared with a company that has only sales or marketing-led growth motions, PLG operates by driving product usage and nurturing users through a product experience, which ultimately builds individual or team users into enterprise-wide contracts. Whether this comes in the form of opening product access up to new monetizable segments by offering a self-serve option or building a free version, PLG products benefit from removing traditional usage gatekeepers, like sales teams. As a result of this usage, indirect benefits tend to manifest in a number of ways. First, there's the fact that PLG helps build a higher willingness to pay, a metric that's derived from a customer's perception of value. Actual product usage is often the best way to drive a customer's understanding of value, since experiencing it for themselves is always going to be preferable to simply being told about it. The second key indirect benefit is increased network effects. Increased product usage will drive network effects, which in turn will increase the value prop of the product. This is particularly true for products that benefit from user data to improve their features, as Slack does, or those that depend on user-generated content, like Miro. The third indirect benefit of PLG is that it allows orgs to both acquire and learn about or from adjacent customers. In a purely marketing or sales-led organization, customers outside of your ideal customer profile, or ICP, will receive little to no attention. With the need for a high-touch approach to acquisition, activation, or monetization, organizations often make tough decisions about focusing on specific groups of customers, which limits their ability to acquire or understand new personas. This was the case at Amplitude, for instance, before it introduced self-serve monetization. At that time, their sales and marketing teams often turned away certain SMB customers because the deal size was simply too low. The final indirect benefit of PLG is that more usage builds better product insights. Organizations that understand their target audience, customer problems, and behavioral patterns better than their competitors win in the long run. No matter how good your user research is, the best way to validate a product's value proposition or optimize a user experience is to see how people actually use your product. Product usage does just that. Now that you understand our perspective on why product-led growth drives long-term B2B business success, let's take a look at what you can expect from this program. Our focus is on helping you to implement or refine your existing product-led or product-assisted tactics through 5 chapters. First, we'll teach you how to build a B2B growth hypothesis, which will help you determine when, why, and for which use cases you should leverage product-led or product-assisted tactics across acquisition, activation, monetization, and engagement. Next, we'll focus on monetization. You'll walk away with an understanding of what it takes to build a monetization escalator. That is, a product that escalates usage and, as a result, monetization from individual plans through to team or enterprise purchases. We'll cap off our monetization section by helping you build a playbook to implement product-led sales. Here, we'll focus on how the most successful B2B companies study product usage or product qualification to identify the ideal moment for a high-touch upsell, increasing the chances of success for their sales force. After this, we'll shift our focus to activation, where we'll help you build a model that allows you to both measure and activate customers. Finally, we'll end with acquisition. In this material, we'll examine the various ways that your product can either take the lead or assist in acquisition. At Reforge, we believe that product-led tactics can be very beneficial accelerants for your growth model, but PLG isn't a one-size-fits-all tool. Some B2B products have a shorter path to benefiting from these PLG tactics than others. This is because there are certain qualities B2B companies can have that make them a better, more instant fit for PLG. Before we jump into how to make PLG work, we'll take a closer look in the next lesson at some of the company qualities that will make PLG most effective. If your organization already has the traits in place, then you'll be particularly well suited to benefit from this program.